Hi, and welcome back to Rhino. Um, Today we are doing curves and surfaces, extrusions, how to move things, copy things, and modify things. We're doing some advanced surface techniques and those Boolean commands, which some of you may have come across. And then finally, we'll look at how to import and work with an AutoCAD drawing in Rhino. So I'm excited about this one. It's a lot of material. This is going to be a pretty big chunk. You might want to do it in a couple, like 2 or 3 stints. Um, but I'm excited because a lot of what we're covering today is what makes Rhino so good and unique. And there's some things that we're doing today that you can't really do in SketchUp. So let's get started. If you open up the working file, you'll find number 1, curves and surfaces. So in Rhino, anything that's a line, Rhino calls that a curve. I don't know why exactly, but anytime a prompt asks you for a curve, that's what it's asking for, is a line. So the most basic curve command is curve. And if you type curve and then you click somewhere to start the curve, you just keep clicking and you get a rounded line that sort of approximates the shape you're drawing with these points. So every click is a point, um, and yeah, that the line kind of follows through it, but without following the curve, without passing through the points um, directly. So this one, we made this shape simply by clicking a couple times and then kind of understanding that every point bends the curve without the curve passing through it exactly. And then to get this last point level with the first point, you can hover over the first one and then drag out. You'll see that gray line appear. That's their extension line. And then you click and enter to end. Yep, so that's that one. Here we've got a spiral. So just click your way around in a circle. Keep on going. It's pretty basic. And again, enter to complete it. There's a spiral. This one, you might say, how did you get that pointy part at the end? So this is actually 2 curves. So the first one looks something like this, and enter. And the second one, I'm going to start at the top there and come down like this. And what I want to point out is that where I ended both curves together, they're kind of pointy right now. So one great thing you can do with these curves is if I select the curve, then all these control points appear, and you can select the individual control points and manipulate them to fine-tune the shape. So if I select the curve, select this control point, and then move it, then I can create a smooth transition between the 2 curves on this end. And that's how you get that raindrop shape. Okay, give it a whirl, and meet me back below. All right, so we're going to pass through all these points to practice the curve and create this shape, which is later going to turn into something else. So I'll type curve. I'm going to start down here, but it doesn't really matter. And I'm just going to click my way all the way through. And if you wanted to do this for yourself, you can just you can type point to create a point, click somewhere, give it a shape, and then follow your way through. Okay, so there's our curve. You can see at the end when they meet, it like pulls itself away from that control point. Cool. All right, next command, polyline. So this is really the same thing as in AutoCAD. It's a polyline. It's made up of multiple line segments, all of which are straight. Okay, so let's create this one below. I'll type polyline. I'll start here, and I'm going to hold down Shift to get perfectly up and down lines. And I'm gonna click again, and again, and again, and again, and again. And then for this one, I'm gonna hover over the first point and then drag it out, holding down shift, click again, and then last point to close the shape. Okay. For the triangle, click, click. Now I'm holding down shift, gonna hover and close. And this one, click, holding down shift, gonna hover here, then hold down shift. Yep. And hover, shift, oops, hover, shift, and close. So that's that. So you can also draw with specific dimensions when you're doing a polyline. The same is true for curves. The same is true for pretty much everything in Rhino. So let's take this shape and draw it using the dimensions that I provided. So I'm going to start at this corner here. I'm going to type polyline, I'm going to click, and now I'm going to enter 6. I'm going to go down because I didn't provide the last dimension. So I'll type 6, enter, and you can see what happens. It draws a 6-inch line, but it can go in any direction. So now I hold down shift and click again. Now I'm going to type 12 because that says 1 foot, and hit enter, shift, click. Now 2 foot 6.5. This is how you do that. 2 apostrophe 6.5. I hit enter and I click. 3 foot 8.25. So 3 feet 8, and you could say 8.25, or if you end up with something like 3/16 and you're not sure what the decimal is, you type 3 apostrophe 8 dash and then the fraction, and then you hit enter, hold down shift, and click. I'll do that again. So this one is 3 feet and 1/2 inch. So I'm going to type 3 apostrophe 0 dash 1/2, enter, hold down shift, and click. And now we're just going straight across the top to close the shape. So that's how to do polylines with specifically dimensioned segments. All right. If you were frustrated by curve because the curve doesn't pass through the control points, welcome to interp curve. So this is similar to the curve command, but it's more like Adobe Illustrator, when the pen tool in Illustrator, when you draw the lines and it kind of follows through those lines to create a curve. I find that if you need to trace an image and you're tracing a curved shape, this is the best command to use. And of course, after drawing the curve, you can manipulate the control points to fine tune it. So let's copy this one. We'll type interp curve and then click for the first point, and you'll see every point I click becomes a point on that curved line. So it's not going near the points, it's going through them. That's the difference. And then hit enter to finish. Boom. Sorry about that. Okay, this is how I draw pillows in AutoCAD in Plan when I'm feeling obsessive. Somehow the rectangular pillows really don't do it for me. So here's how we would do that. I'll type interp curve. I'm gonna start, and then I'm just gonna kind of approximate that shape that I made over there. And you can see when you get to a sharper corner, you kind of have to click the points a little bit closer together. And then I'll do the same thing for the other side and finish them together. So that doesn't look anything like the first thing, but that's okay because I can select the curve, select the point I want to manipulate, and then just move it where I need it to go, right? It's actually very useful when you're trying to model something that is kind of like a sensitive shape that really needs to look a certain way. Thinking like a curved piece of wood the profile on the edge of something, what have you. All right, so there's something like our pillow. Whoop. This one's awfully pointy. I don't want my pillow to look like that. Okay, close enough for now. And then, of course, you can use interp curve in a more precise way by entering dimensions. So to create this, we're going to type interp curve, start it. Now I'm going to type 2 for 2 inches and hit enter. I'm going to hold down shift and go up. I'm going to, excuse me. Now I'm going to hold down 2, hit enter, and go this way. Hold down 2, hit enter, go that way. 2, enter 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 that way. This is a fun game. 2, enter that way. All right, there we are. That's like a more regular squiggle. And then to practice tracing, I've included a drawing by Sergio Rodriguez. He was a Brazilian product designer and artist. So he designed a lot of really gorgeous, often very relaxed feeling furniture, used a lot of materials native to Brazil. And I think he has some of the best drawings of any designer in history. His drawings are so gorgeous to look at. The way he manages to go between something kind of cartoony that tells you about the feeling of the piece and something that actually tells you everything you need to know about the construction. So this is like a construction detail, a perspective, and this sort of moody cartoon all on one page. So I really admire his representations. So let's practice tracing some of this elevation here and seeing how that would work. So I'm going to type interp curve. And where should we start? I'm actually going to start at this corner because it's one of the sharp corners. And I'm going to just basically trace this leg. And then when I get to the corner, I could stop and start it and have a sharp corner, but this is actually a rounded corner. So what I'm going to do instead is use control points close together, and that will give me a tight curve that's still round, right? So that's how you do that's how you get it to turn a corner without, like if I go like that, it starts to kind of nudge out the side in a strange shape, and I don't want that. Okay. So we're just going to trace this leg. I find this kind of relaxing sometimes. You don't have to make any decisions. You just have to follow the line. And around the top. And yeah, anytime I see it like looking like it wants to get kind of naughty and make a strange shape, I just add additional points. And then I'm going to stop it here because that's also a sharp corner. And I'm going to trace this piece. And I'm going to trace this piece. And then I'm going to create this curve here between the two. All right. So I'll let you continue that as much as you want to. It's a really beautiful curvaceous frame. Okay, so now we're on to surfaces. A surface is, as you can see, like this shape is made up of lines but doesn't have anything in the middle. So if I was in rendered mode, I actually wouldn't see anything, right? I don't see any surface in here. There's nothing to look at. It's just lines. And if you're rendering in V-Ray, those lines won't even appear. You won't see anything at all. But a surface is a shape that's filled in. So like a sheet of paper, basically. And the simplest surface command is plane. It's very simple. It's like a rectangle, but a surface. So you type plane, you click to start it and click to end it, and that is it. So why don't you try um, making a few planes, and then one command I want to introduce here is the select last command. I find it useful a lot of the time. So I've just created one plane on top of another plane. I could click on it and then it'll ask me which one I want. I could do this sort of like left to right selection to get it, or you can type cell last, SELLAST, and hit enter, and that will select the last thing that you made. I find that to be pretty useful, especially when you're modeling stuff on top of other stuff. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to move that one up. Then I'm going to create a new plane. Maybe I'll put it over here. SEL last. I'll move that one up 4 inches. Other plane. Here. SEL last. And move that one up 6 inches. You get the picture. Yeah. So now we've got kind of like a stack of surfaces. All right. Surf point is sort of a random command, but it creates a surface with 4 corners, but it's not necessarily a rectangle. So you're just going to click your way through it. Type SRFPT, hit enter. So you click for the first corner, second corner, third corner, fourth corner. Yeah. I don't use this one that much. The only time I use it is like if I'm filling in a trapezoid or something. Say I've got a trapezoidal space that I need to create a plane out of, then I would use this. It's pretty basic. So I'm going to hold down shift to get a straight line on this edge, and I'll click over here for this point, hold down shift again, and there's that shape. Okay. And last one, start at the top, click over to the left. Now I'm going to hover over this point so that I get the straight line in the middle. Maybe hover over that point so that I get that one straight. And there's that shape. All right, so that's surf point. And last one, planar surf. So I use this one a lot. This is probably Rhino top 10 commands. It basically takes a closed curve and creates a surface out of it. So the curve, it can be one curve or it can be multiple curves, but it has to be planar. So you can't have one curve here and then another curve where part of it is up here. It's all going to be flat like on a piece of paper. So the prompt is draw a puzzle piece. All right, let's see, how should we do that? I'm going to start with a rectangle. And no. I'm going to draw a polyline. I'm going to hold down shift, move over, okay, and then maybe like a little bit up here. And I'm going to type curve. I'm going to make some kind of squiggly shape over here. Then I'm going to type polyline again. Okay. Then I'm going to type curve and make some kind of shape that carves out the middle of this thing. There we go. It's kind of a weird, I don't think I need this part of it. You know what? It's okay. It doesn't matter. So now I've got all these curves. They're all flat. They're all together. If I select all of them together and type planar surf, it will create a surface out of that shape. Pretty easy. To demonstrate what doesn't work, if I create a polyline like this, and if one of the points happens to be even just a tiny bit higher or lower or not on the same plane as the rest of them, when I type planar surf, it says no faces were made, curve must be closed and planar. So if you get that message, it's either because there's a hole, so something doesn't connect to something else, or one of the points that you're trying to use is in a different plane than the rest of them. Okay. See you back for part 2.